Thanks for tuning in to another episode of RIO's how-to video series. I'm Russ Miller. I work for RIO Products, and today I'm going to teach you how to mend. We're standing here ankle deep in this beautiful riffle on the South Fork of the Snake, and I'm going to walk through two different techniques with you today. The first, we're going to be fishing our flies, and I'm going to show you mending techniques as we fish our flies both upstream and downstream across varying currents. The second way I'll show you is some aerial mending we'll do to set our flies up for the best and longest drift possible so we can reduce the amount of line we're throwing onto the water. So I'm going to make my way up to the top of the riffle. Come join me up there. Before we jump in and start fishing the riffle behind us, I just wanted to run through the tackle that I've got with me. I've got my Sage 9-foot 5-weight X paired up with the click reel, and on that I've got the RIO In Touch Gold in a 5-weight. The gold is a great line for this because it's got a lot of mass up front to move over a bushy dry dropper rig, but it's got a long rear taper that's going to allow me to really mend accurately all the way down to where I need to. So it's a really great line for that. We call it the gold standard here at RIO, and it really is truly one of my favorite lines for a lot of different applications. From there, I put on one of our PowerFlex Plus 9-foot leader on there, followed up by the PowerFlex Plus Tibbet material, right? And I've got 3X to my dry fly, 4X to my dropper. I always take a moment before I step into a river and start fishing for the day and just use one of our cleaning towelettes. It helps my line float really high, and when I'm doing mending, it allows me to break that surface tension really, really easily, and it makes everything a little bit more effortless. So taking the time to use one of our cleaning towelettes makes a huge difference. Now that we've run through the tackle, I'm just going to talk through the water a little bit. And we're in this riffle. We've got some slow water on the inside here, followed by some fast water, and it gets faster the further you move out to the middle, right? So what that does for our fly line is it moves our fly line at different speeds. So in order to correct that, we're going to have to do some mending, right? And I think a lot of people think mending is just something you have to do. Well, there's a time and a place for it. So we're going to walk through a couple of the different applications that you have in this riffle here specifically. So I'm going to pull some line off the reel. My first cast I'll make will just be a nice upstream cast, just to get a feel for how the water is moving. And I have a lot of information in front of me. I can see how my line's moving. I can start to read the current. With my next cast, I'm going to get right out there and start to get in the good fishing water. If I do nothing, what happens is this drift is really short. I get a great upstream presentation, but as soon as it gets in front of me, it's no longer fishing, and my hook angle to actually set the hook on a fish gets really, really bad. So the way to do this is to do a mend. And the mend is super easy. Lay my cast down, I'm going to lift up the rod and drop it down. Lifting is key. You want to break that surface tension. Remember when we used our Wonder Cloth? Lift up, drop down. It's a very simple, easy, quick reset that allows us to fish drag-free very, very well, right? We want our bugs moving downstream with the current. We don't want them pulling or having any funny action imparted on them. So again, I'm going to come here, quarter upstream, lift, drop, reset that angle, and now chase it with my rod tip on the way down. A couple of things you don't want to do that I see all too often with the mend is people come here, they have a great cast, they think if they just move the rod tip horizontally that that's going to be a good mend, right? Just start pulling it to the side. Oh, that's what people do to mend. Not at all. This is a very controlled motion where we lift to break the surface tension and drop to reposition. I'm going to chase it downstream. I'm going to do a secondary mend all the way down and resetting the angle to have my fly line behind the fly, and now I'm going to feed out line. This is a really effective way to fish a 60-foot stretch of river. The other way to be really effective and increase what we're doing here is to perform an aerial mend by using a reach cast. This is probably the most common way to do it. And the reach cast is as simple as starting by quartering upstream, but on your finishing stroke, pushing the rod tip to the side. And what I've already done is change the angle that my line is going down to the fly, and now I can just do my secondary mend instead of doing a first and a second. And I'll feed line the exact same way, and I can get that same 60-foot drift, drag-free, but I only had to do one mend instead of two. So we can do our first mend before the fly line even hits the water. one more time for you here. So I'm going to start by quartering across, and now I'm going to drop my rod tip to the side. Changing the angle, my fly line hits the water. Let me show you the difference. Without the mend, it drops here. You can see my angle coming into the fly is very, very steep. Take that same cast, I do an aerial mend or a reach cast. I can come here and I push that rod tip upstream, and now my fly line is perpendicular to my fly, and I can make one mend that allows me to fish the exact same distance that I was before. So this is two ways that you can think about doing a mend when you're on the river. And it's going to really increase your odds of success out there, because trout like to eat flies that are dead drifted towards their face. Anytime you can do that, you're going to find great success on whatever water you're at across the country. Thanks for tuning in, and we hope you watch another episode of RIO's how-to videos.